Way back in 300 BC, the Greek mathematician Euclid defined one of the greatest mathematical quantities of recorded history, that being the golden ratio. Used to construct multitudes of architectural and other worldly feats, the golden ratio represents not only calculable perfection, but art. And now in the modern day, we've come across a new quantity, a new golden ratio, and that is the amount of smug on Nangong Yu's face. Cue the montage. Hello folks, it's your boy Josh, and today we'll be going through arguably one of our most interesting characters to date. We've gone stunners who scale with crit, we've gone supports who utilize HP, yet now with Nangong, one could consider her an anomaly character disguised as a stunner, with her ability to scale impact with anomaly. So what does Nangong Yu do? How does she do it? How do we build her, and is she the right fit for you? We're gonna get into all of that and more and teach you how to pick up and throw down with Nangong Yu. If you've played through the story, you know that Nangong is secretly rich. Well, that very aspect transfers to Nangong Yu's kit incredibly well because she's got stacks on stacks on stacks. Nangong has a few stacking mechanics to her, but all in the vein of providing a bunch of bonuses for you to get into stun and enhance the stun window experience. Let's first start with her downbeat stacks. This is the sidebar that's under Nangong's health bar, and for those familiar with Evelyn, you'll know that these are stacks towards an attack. Nangong will stack 50 points of downbeats to create a stack or charge that can convert to one of her enhanced charge basic attacks called the Adorable Explosive Impact. Nangong will start the battle with 30 downbeat and can hold up to 100 downbeats at a time. The downbeats will only be consumed during the second and third charges, thus where the 100 points comes from. Once you have 100 points, hold down the charge to continue to flow into the following charge attacks like so, and you'll perform a 3 attack strike that deals massive daze, and with all 3 Angels of Delusion, we'll all Yamcha them to the ground. For some reason, I guess she really do follow each other off the cliff. Now, outside of the downbeats, that's honestly all there is to that attack for now. It's mainly a stacking mechanic to build up to your enhanced 3 charge basic attack. And out of stun, you'll be wanting to focus on utilizing this attack to speed up the daze process. And just to add in a little bit of tech for y'all, know that you can actually shorthand the charge 3 and swap cancel after the first latch of the attack. As long as you consume your downbeat as seen in the slow-mo here, you can fast forward or back swap to the next character. But Josh, how do you gain stacks, you may ask? Well, there are a few ways. Firstly, the core passive will gain 3.8 downbeats per second, and when any squad member inflicts an attribute anomaly, you gain 12, which can only happen once every 6 seconds. Now put that into context of having 3 other units to use, and every 10 seconds, you're essentially building up to 50 stacks, meaning with your starter 30 points, within the first 12 seconds of the fight, you should have your first full enhanced charge attack if routed correctly with 2 procs of anomaly. Don't worry, if that really didn't make too much sense, I'll have a much more in-depth breakdown in the combat breakdown section. Moving on, after the 3-layered charge attack, we also have the special called the Weight of Love and the EX special called the Unbearable Weight of Love, which is what you're going to use in conjunction with basics to pop open Nangong's core passive bonus that increases her own anomaly buildup rate by a scaled 35% at core F, also increasing her daze by 20% and increasing team-wide damage by 25%, all for 30 seconds. This is some dialing level of buffing debauchery, and with no investments into energy regen, which in all honesty is not needed, all you need to do is pop the EX first in battle, reactivate this buff with your charge basic, and then in the stun window pop a quick EX again for maximum duration. You can also shorthand your charge attack by cutting out the first basic and flowing straight into the second and third, which consume the downbeats after using an EX special, ult, or quick assist in. Yet, I wanted to circle back to the special very quickly because the special can be used to perform a very quick heavy attack. This can be used to pop chain attacks very quickly and control the timings of the next chain prompt like so. and with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to determine whether to hold EX or quickly pop it whilst shoulder to shouldering for max efficiency. And before we move into the stun window, let's bring up Nangong's chain and ultimate, called the Comet Gravity and Meteor Shower respective. Very rarely will we see Nangong using her own chain attack, as characters like Miyabi and Aria will be taking it for themselves. But the ultimate is Nangong's way of providing a huge burst of daze, as well as her single activation of the Ether Veil Delusion's Reprise. Yes, Nangong Yu can actually pop a veil, bob all the way to the top. And with the domain expansion comes a modest 50 attack points increase, but mainly is used to help regen stacks of fan power for Aria, or even chaining sword stacks for Jshoea. But this attack will mainly be used out of stun to help push you towards our beautiful rainbow window, so let's get to that right now. This is where the fun happens, as this whole time we've been utilizing our skills and bonuses to push towards stun. Now that we're at its doorstep, let's talk about how Nangong brings even more buffs and damage to the table, starting with her second stacking mechanic called Vibrato. And if high school band taught me anything, it's that vibratos, especially with singing, are difficult to maintain. Well, in this case, it's actually quite the opposite, as it's quite easy to come by in most teams. The vibrato stacks will be a status onto the enemies, and each enemy can build up to 4 stacks of vibrato. These stacks are gained by applying attribute anomalies onto them, so it kind of works like how the Weeping Gemini builds up AP each time you inflict one, which is quite convenient that both are 4, huh? So with that, when the stun state is reached and at the end of a well-performed stun window, your vibrato will pop, creating an instance of a bloom. This will take into consideration the current anomaly afflicted onto the enemy and will pop a massive bloom that will scale with each stack of vibrato, increasing the damage ratio of the element by 25%, each stacking up to 100%. Here are the difference between 1 stack and 4 stacks here. So as you can tell, some big numbers to cap off the stun window, which with how many stuns you're performing per stage, it'll rack up that much more in your scores. Like, it can't be too hard to do a vibrato, right? No, I don't think I did it right. Let me just pull up a video.
Pretend like you're gagging. Now do it back and forth.
I digress. A single burst of bloom is not the only thing our lead dancer provides. Let's head over to the incredibly lengthy additional core ability. For Nangong, if she were to have a character that is anomaly, or even just aligned to the same faction, any squad member attacks against stunned enemies has 30% increased anomaly buildup rate, and chains will have an additional 30% increase. Then when you stun an enemy, the enemy will gain a debuff stack of 2 dance prowess, the status lasting for 15 seconds. With this new status, when Nangong provides a heavy attack from either her EX special, basic attack, or god forbid you quick assist into her with the chain, you can trigger a polarity disorder that deals damage equal to 20% of the original disorder damage. And for those of you who haven't had a chance to run some Yanagi, a polarity disorder is quite unique in that it is much less damage, but will essentially provide you with an on-demand disorder that can maintain the attribute anomaly that's on the character, well, as seen here. When an enemy has dance prowess, whenever your Nangong is swapped into the field, she will automatically flow into her charge basic, adorable explosive impact. The saving grace of the activation condition for this is that when you get into the stun window for any enemy, the next EX special from Nangong will cost nothing for 15 seconds, which is great for resource reserves and also has some utility with multi-wave fights. But you can only pop this once every 15 seconds, so it's not infinite. But folks, here's where the idle magic comes in. See, with those 2 dance prowess stacks, it would seem, well, somewhat inefficient for you to charge EX specials and or that lengthy basic attack during a pivotal stun window. So in most cases, you'll only be popping 1 EX attack, like I mentioned during the introduction of the specials. But with the additional passive, as Aria takes alongside her pals, Nangong and Suna, if they're in the party, the heavy charge attack from Aria will also count as a heavy from Nangong, which means that Aria's booty bumps will be able to pop these polarity disorders. And without the restrictive activation of Nangong's lengthy attacks, this makes for a seamless and very synergistic pairing, arguably much more homogeneous than Aria and Suna themselves. And with that, let's actually bring one more big encore to this kit breakdown by bringing back the ultimate. As you recall that I said we're almost always likely to use the ultimate outside of stun? Well, with the additional core ability, after using a stun and getting into the stun state for an enemy, the stun duration will increase for a whole 3 seconds, and stun damage multiplier raised by 30% under the effect called the misstep. Once recovered from stun, you will have to reapply this again. But with all that yapping, let's do us a nice recap of all the bonuses we get in stun. First, the Bloom finisher from the vibrato stacks. Secondly, will be an anomaly build-up rate increase and additional bonus for chains. Third is the 2 dance prowess stacks for polarity disorder. And lastly, the additional, which will provide 30% extra stun damage multiplier and 3 more seconds of a stun window to fit in more attacks. And boom, that's our lead dancer's whole dance move back. And for the folks who are now wondering how to build Nangong, let's head right over to the build section. Now, before we start anything, there is a huge elephant in the room, and that is the scaling of Nangong's impact. I mentioned at the very beginning very briefly. Let's first break down the numbers so that we have a much cleaner picture on how we want to approach building our cute Angel of Delusion. With Nangong's core, she's able to scale Anomaly Mastery into Impact. That's right, very much like how Dialin and Trigger utilize crit rate. With our squid, after 110 points of Anomaly Mastery, each subsequent point will convert to 1 impact when on the battlefield. So, well, of course we don't see here on the stat screen, but let's jump right into a fight and boom, here's what it looks like with all that extra impact. And yes, in an ideal world, we can gain upwards of 100 Anomaly Mastery, which will lead to 100 impact. Absolutely diabolical amount of stats here. She literally becomes a full-fledged Anomaly character that just so happens to be one of the best stunners in the game. Let's get on to how we can build up to that astronomically high level of Anomaly Mastery, starting with the W engines. The Neon Fantasies is arguably one of the most catered W engines of all of the stunners, as literally no one can use it like Nangong can. It boasts a 713 base attack with 30% Anomaly Mastery in the advanced stat, which is already peculiar for stunners, but as we mentioned earlier, is what allows our fallen angel to stack up her paper. The passive called Disco Demon grants 90 AP, and when the attack user strikes with an EX special or basic attack that deals ether, all squad members gain a 15% damage increase for an absurd 40 seconds, stacking up 2 times. And yes, the whales out there, both the AP and damage bonus are scalable with overclocking, meaning you can even go crazier here. And when 2 stacks are active, you can gain an additional 60 scalable AP. This is barely even a stun W engine and literally rivals some of the best anomaly engines in the space. That's how good this darn thing is. Yet, without this W engine, what are your other options? Well, let's not look too far, with our first option being the Restrained. Increasing your basic damage and day's contributions allows for a strong showing that does not fully compete, yet can be quite synergistic compared to our more conventional options that focus on impact and energy regen. Outside of that, there are not many more direct options that contribute exactly to what Nangong does, so just go with the W engine that gives you the most impact. And as far as budget options go, the precious fossilized core edges out the steamed oven here for deadly assault stages in particular, and don't forget we get a new W engine option from the limited time event called the Simmering Pot. This grants 15% impact as a substat and 11.5% increase in days and damage for 30 seconds after activating an assist follow-up, which is just generous enough to work with Nangong and a plethora of other stunners. As long as the W engine is built and your Nangong Yu is filled out with the right drives and skill investments, most stages you'll be able to reach your 3 stun breakpoints, if not 4, with higher investments. Speaking of the drives, this is where things get a little funky. See, with Nangong Yu, you'd think that we'd be getting something a bit more catered or set that would really benefit her playstyle. But here in 2.7, we actually got a defense drive and other ice and disorder set that is seemingly for the future Promea, which I'll be making a whole new 2.7 drive disc breakdown right after I come out with this Nangong Yu early access guide. So make sure to continue to support our videos by subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any of our latest videos. But what's curious about Nangong is that, again, she is an anomaly agent disguised as a stunner, and we'll see the best of both worlds. This means with her strong attack and AP investments, she can actually dish out some damage. There still needs to be a bit more testing on this, but as you can see with these trial runs, I actually ran a conventional 4-piece Freedom Blues, the presumed best set, before a special program aired, and now we have the early access. I've been able to test the Phaethon's Melody on her, and it's actually quite strong. In a sense of like how Orphe provides less buffs because she contributed damage herself. However, because the 4-piece Freedom Blues applies to Ether across the board, Aria benefits from this, and thus the Freedom Blues tends to be our better set coming out of testing. But surprise, surprise, the Phaethon's is getting a ton of secondary credits. So if you have more left over and don't want to strictly grab a full new 4-set Freedom Blues, then that should be your go-to. Next will be a few notes on Shockstar Disco, and much like how with the alternative Restrained Build-WEngine focusing on basic attack, damage, and daze, the Shockstar Disco provides more daze potential for set basics, and her enhanced charge attack is nothing to scoff at. Yet in my playtests, this has fallen off quite a bit, but in alternative stages where you don't have favorable matchups and are in need of a bit more days to reach your breakpoints, why not try this alternative 4-set purely that could prove more than just enhancing the anomaly pushing. And I did try out Astral Voice. It's strong, but for stages that need more in terms of anomaly, the extra damage bonuses were a bit drowned out from Nangong's already stellar core buffs. But as far as build goes, let's stick with the 4-set Freedom Blues with 2-set Phaethons for that anomaly mastery as our primary construction here. Main stats are going to be AP in the 4 slot, Ether in attack on 5 with a strong pivot to Pen for stages that put up more defenses, then Anomaly Mastery in the 6th slot. That rounds out our music set list. If you're looking for a one-stop shop infographic guide, look no further than our sheet here. You can find these and more guides over on our Discord, with each update coming with fresh guides for the new characters and refurbished ones to update the rerun or rework characters. And if you guys are really getting something out of this guide, I can't have you guys just quietly supporting. Make sure to hit the like so that you guys can let me know that we're doing a great job here of teaching you guys how to master our new characters. And just as the lead dancer would say, outside of just her, it's gonna take 2 to tango. Or, well, technically there's 3 in the team, so what would happen if you had 3 people tangoing or dancing at the same time? How does that even work? Yeah, anywho, let's go over some team variations and move right into the combat breakdown, as many of you are curious at how the squid rotations work. We don't have to be Delulus to see that the Triple Idols team comp becomes one of the most deadly squads to ever grace modern-day Zenless. With highlights of Veils, insane bonuses, and lead damage dealer who strikes with crazy blooms and anomaly damage, whilst also getting extra juice from the stunner, these 3 produce damage that's more than just a delusion. It's unimaginable. With testing the gals against the wolf from Puss in Boots, these stun windows just came so much easier than they've ever had before, with only double support comps. And granted, you could put in a dial-in or trigger, but the amount of extra bonuses and supplementary anomaly make the team hit harder than ever before. Yet outside of the Arias of the world, let's hone in on the other hyper carry eligible bachelorettes, starting with Miyabi. And even before Promea shows up, Nangong becomes quite the prevalent support castmate that easily trumps what Lycon brings to the Mono Eye squad. Yes, even with his rework. And because Nangong can easily proc Ether for you to disorder off of, as her anomaly mastery is just that freaking high, Miyabi has no trouble maintaining her offensive pressure, and with the stuns finding themselves faster, the team outperforms and flows much more smoothly. Other characters like Alice, Yanagi, and even the lower-ended Janes, Graces, Pipers of the world have a nice time with the real-life Kuromi. And with having both a stunner and an anomaly unit bundled into one, you get the best of both worlds for the hyper carries who can just stay on field and push out as many anomalies as they want without having to maintain field or feather stacks. Yet one curious pair that I've been wanting to highlight outside of anomaly pairs is that of one Harumasa. As many folks know, with his need for anomaly to extend his stun window combos, having corruption being popped so consistently with Haru has been something of a not so surprising team up. So if you don't have any of the premium electric stunners for the sickly office worker, well, you have a new shiny toy to toss this way. And lastly, we also have to mention mixed disorder teams that contain Nangong and 2 anomaly units. Although you won't have a direct on-fielder for the team, Nangong is more than proficient enough to take the helm and swing on the ops, whilst driving other anomalies of the likes of Vivian or Bernice. Just be wary of the applications of all those blooms and disorders. And with all of our prep for combat out of the way, let's throw Nangong Yu to the wolves. No, literally, let's jump into the DA stages. And starting off, let's pop a very easy EX special with Nangong, just like dial in. You want to get out your buffs as fast as possible to start making use of the anomaly and stun increases. Then, with a few timely attacks from your aria, make sure to wait around 12 seconds after starting the fight, and with the relative timing, should come up with your first enhanced charge for Nangong. Now, from routing, you can very easily pop the EX special, then shortcut to your basic 2 and 3. This allowing you to also even gain more decibels to ult into the first stun window. Then from here, it's about setting up for your main DPS. Once you get into the stun window, Nangong need only to pop 1 EX special, and you can easily weave that into your manual canceling and open the second chain with said EX special like so. Then just run through the rest of the stun window, and with all of your damage dealt, you'll end the stun window with your vibrato enhanced a bloom. And that is your relative rotation, folks. Let's show it all once more in real time. For folks who are more curious about other rotations, I'll have more to say about Nangong in my follow-up Deadly Assault Guide VOD reviews. Yes, I actually do VOD reviews for viewers in chat. And I help folks coach you through your Deadly Assaults and Shi defenses, so make sure to subscribe and or Prime sub on Twitch to gain access to that. So far, I've had 100% 5-star reviews, so I'd like to help y'all out if you think you'd find it helpful. And lastly, to cap us off, let's review the Mindscapes and investment strategy for Nangong. And to be honest, talking about investment strategy for Nangong, she seemingly has so much money that she can call up her PJ and the suits. But for Mindscape 1, starting off quite tame, let's start with a straight 18% all res down for 40 seconds, which is a strong buff for the team. Then the M2 increases the strength of the vibration of bloom potency by 10% each for a total of 140%. And the stun damage multiplier from an additional ability gains 30% for a total 60. And you thought we were done? Well, Nangong Yu now starts to provide polarity disorders on each chain, which this Mindscape totals upwards of 15% in damage potential, which is pretty nuts, especially paired with Jshoea. M3 and M5 are your classic skill upgrades, and M4 is a straight up stat pusher, with an extra 40 AP and anomaly build up increase for the enhanced basics by 35%. Which allows you to consider offsetting the 4 freedom and going more damage like with Phaethons. Talking about DPSing, the M6, called an Angel's Delusion, provides Nangong's attacks with 50% more days, and when an enemy is out of stun, each time the character triggers a bloom, disorder, or attribute anomaly, the enemy gains a vibrato modified stack. You can also gain this stack with Nangong CX and Ult, providing 1 and 2 points respective. And with a full 4 stack of modified vibrato, you'll trigger an enhanced version of the vibration of bloom at the end of the stun window. The vibrato modified actually is not stacked with the vibrato itself, so that's just an extra instance of damage for you. In all fairness, the ability alone is not that crazy, but when stacking all the extra bonuses from previous Mindscapes, make this an atomic bomb of a bloom to cap off the hard work you put into the stun window. With that, Josh, what is your final verdict on Nangong Yu? Well, needless to say, she is an incredibly strong pull for the majority of your more meta-relevant anomaly units and can even find herself stunning for alternative teams with the right setup. Then with W-engines and Mindscapes, I'll personally just be pulling for the W-engine alone and no Mindscapes. Yes, that M2 is quite the juicy of a breakpoint, but not enough for me, especially with many other units in the near and far future. And that was a ton of yap, but I do hope we did a great job of breaking down everything you'll need to know and to pick up and play our latest Angel of Delusion idol in Nangong Yu. I'm sure the tech wizards of the world are figuring out cancels and funny shenanigans with her wacky charge attacks and other abilities, but for now, I think we've given you all that you need to know to start swinging away. Make sure to subscribe as we have a bunch of events, collabs, and more fun giveaways for you guys, especially on our live streams over on YouTube and Twitch. My name is Josh, and I'll leave you be because I gotta practice my vibratos. Make sure to click on one of these videos over here because YouTube thinks you'll like it. Thanks so much for watching. Wait, the video hasn't ended yet. Just go.